Hello, welcome to Today Matters, a short devotional in the Word of God. I'm Pastor Kevin Pagano. I have the honor of serving as the middle school pastor here at Skyline. Today I want to encourage those of you who might be struggling to live your life for Jesus in this really messed up world. And to do that, I want to talk about two of the most famous people in history. We all know about the Wright Brothers and them being credited with the first powered sustained flight back in 1903. But many people don't know about another man who inspired them. His name was Otto Lilienthal, and he was a German inventor, and he became known as the Glider King. And he was a pioneer in developing many of the principles for manned flight that others used in their plane designs. Otto was so committed to his craft that he was willing to risk his life for the achievement of flight. In fact, it was a glider accident that took his life. But before he died, when he was sitting in his hospital bed, he is famously quoted, he has a famous quote that he said, "Sacrifices must be made." He understood that the business of flight, for it to happen, somebody was going to have to be the first one to jump. And we all enjoy the benefits of manned flight today because of people like Otto who are willing to give their lives for their passion. For us, in our walk with God, we too stand on the accomplishments and sacrifices of people that went before us. That's what I want to focus on today. Let's look in Hebrews chapter 11. And I'm going to pick up a little bit further on in verse 39. And this is after the author has already reflected on a lot of the hardships that believers have had to go through throughout the generations. Here's what it says in the Message paraphrase. It says, "Not one of these people, even though their lives of faith were exemplary, got their hands on what they were promised. God had a better plan for us, that their faith and our faith would come together to make one complete whole. Their lives of faith not complete apart from ours." Do you see what this means? All of these pioneers who blazed the way, all these veterans cheering us on, that means that we better get on with it. Strip down, start running, and never quit. No extra spiritual fat, no parasitic sins. Keep your eyes on Jesus, who both began and finished this race we're in. Study how he did it, because he never lost sight of where he was headed. That exhilarating finish in and with God. He could put up with anything along the way, cross, shame, whatever. And now he's there in the place of honor right alongside God. When you find yourself flagging in your faith, go over that story again, item by item, that long litany of hostility he plowed through. That will shoot adrenaline into your souls. What the author of Hebrews is trying to describe for us is the heritage of hardships that believers have had to go through. And all these were lives that built upon each other. I love what the paraphrase says right there, that their faith and our faith come together to make a complete whole. We really need to understand that the life that we live for God is totally countercultural to what we experience in this world. And that when we face hardships and when we struggle along the way, we should really not see that as a surprise. We should really understand that going all the way back to the pioneer of our faith, who is Jesus, look how he handled his life. Look what he went through. Look what he had to go through in order to honor God with his life. And we should expect the same thing. And as we expect that, we should actually be honored to struggle. We should be honored to go through the ups and downs of life, knowing that this is the way God's people have lived throughout generations and generations. One of the cool features of our campus here in Rancho is we have something called the Heritage Walk. And it's over by the fountain, and maybe you've missed it, but it's this long pathway of all these different names. And each one of those names has a born year and a death year, and for the ones that we know about. And it goes through all these different sections of church history, and even before church history, all these people who were Hall of Fame people in the Hall of Faith. And what's so cool about all these people is you can look into their lives and see how they went through a lot of hardships, many of them. Many of them, the dates that they lived and died seem pretty short comparatively to what we experience today. And a lot of times that's because they were martyred for their faith. Here's something I challenge the kids to do, and I want to challenge you to do it, is next time you're here at church, just walk along that pathway and just pick out a random name that you've never heard of before, because some of those names are pretty obscure names that we maybe have never heard of. And just Google it or look it up on DuckDuckGo or whatever. Look it up on your phone and just trying to learn about that person's faith. And you'll see that they had ups and they had downs. And I hope that encourages you as you might be facing struggles and persecution or whatnot in the world that we find ourselves. So I hope that strengthens you today. And just like that paraphrase said in the Hebrews verse, that it shoots adrenaline into your souls to know that so many people have experienced hardships before us. I pray that as you do that, you're blessed. Thanks for watching.